Okay, good morning, everybody. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Good morning. Calling the roll for the Monday, September 13th Board of Control meeting. It is 11:01. Nan Baker. Here. Dale Miller.
Here.
Jim Boyle serving as an alternate for Purnell Jones.
Present.
Melanie Say serving as an alternate for Mike Dever. Here. Mike Chambers serving as an alternate for Ermin Dudish.
Here.
Lee Tucker serving as an alternate for the fiscal officer.
Here.
Catherine Takachik.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'm going to make a motion to approve the minutes from September 7th. Do I have a second?
Will second.
Seconded by Mr. Boyle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Do we have any public comment signed in or anything?
No public comment.
No public comment. Let's move on to new items, please.
First item, BC 2021-503, Department of Development, recommending an award and enter into an agreement with the City of Cleveland Heights in the amount not to exceed $400,943 for allocation of the fiscal year 2018 and 2019 home funds for various eligible home program activities and administration services for the period May 1st, 2021 through April 30th, 2023.
Good morning, Kate Fian, Department of Development. So this is a contract with the City of Cleveland Heights. They're a member of our Home Housing Consortium. As a member of the consortium, Cleveland Heights is entitled to a percentage, and that's 10% of the total home funds received annually. So Cuyahoga County is the fiscal agent for the consortium and the home investment partnership funds that we receive from HUD. So this request is to allocate the city's 2018 and 2019 allocations, which are $210,851 and $190,092 respectively, and that's the total amount of $400,943. So this contract will provide funds for administration of and for eligible qualified home activities in the City of Cleveland Heights for that time period. So the prior two-year agreement was in the original amount of $299,566 for the period December 1st, 2016 through November 30th, 2018. An amendment extended the time period to April 30th, 2020 and added $297,270, which increased the total amount of that contract to $596,836. So an amendment then extended the time period to 4/30/2021, no additional funds.
Okay, that was a lot. Are there any questions from the board on this one? Councilman Miller, please.
We saw the same thing with Lakewood. Can you explain why this runs 2 to 3 years behind in terms of the years from which the funds are being allocated?
I will have to get back to you with that answer. But I'll have to get back to you with that answer.
Are there, okay,
I'm
go ahead,
sorry.
please.
I do know that it's kind of across the board with all of our consortium members, but I'm not sure why it runs behind 2 years.
Okay, I would like to know.
Yes, I will get that to you, sir.
Mr. Boyle, do you have a question?
Is the allocation based on population, I assume, or number of homes, do you know?
I'll have to get back to
All
you.
right, that's
with that
fine,
answer.
I'm just curious more.
We do have a set allocation.
Yeah,
which
I
can
assumed
tell
as
you.
much, and I'm
Yes.
just curious what the criteria are.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any additional questions on this item? Okay, seeing none, then I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item, please.
Next item, BC 2021-504, Department of Human Resources, recommending an award on requisition 6052 and enter into a contract with the Jellyvision Lab Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $274,413 for Alex Virtual Benefits Counselor Software Subscription Services for Employee Benefits Open Enrollment for the period October 12th, 2021 through October 11th, 2023.
Stephen Wood with Department of Human Resources. This is our contract with Jellyvision Lab for the Alex Benefits tool. During our open enrollment and throughout the year, employees can use this tool to help select their benefits. Jellyvision will give them an estimate, help them select which plan fits them best with criteria based on age, earnings, that kind of thing. Last year, during our open enrollment period, we had 1,898 total visits to the tool. And overall statistics found that most employees, 84% of employees felt that they better understood their benefits after using the tool. Contract will run for 2 years, which will include our upcoming open enrollment period this year, as well as next year's open enrollment period. And then we'll begin another RFP process for the next periods.
Okay, thank you, Stephen. Are there questions from the board on this item?
Yes.
Councilman Miller.
Uh, My question is, when is this year's open enrollment taking place, and is this going to be the typical open enrollment that's fairly narrow in scope, or is it going to be the occasional version that's broader in scope?
So the Director Sheba Marshall's here, and she can respond a little better about our upcoming open enrollment period.
So, Sheba Marshall, Human Resources, the open enrollment is October 25th through November 8th. It's going to be a passive open enrollment, meaning if employees are not changing anything, they don't have to do anything. If they're changing their benefits, they will have to go in and make those changes. You know, for an FSA, you have to change it every year. We're not allowed to move those funds forward. What was the other part of your question? Can I ask?
I think you answered both, Mike.
Oh.
It was the dates and whether it's narrow or broad, so you answered both of those questions. Thank you.
Okay, any additional questions from on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-505, Court of Common Pleas, Juvenile Court Division, recommending an award on requisition 5019 and enter into a contract with Rebuilding the Youth's Future in the amount not to exceed $36,796 for mentoring services for court-reformed youth probationers for the period September 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022.
Good morning, Sarah Baker with Juvenile Court. This is a new contract that we have for our probation youth. We did issue an RFP for this, and we chose to go through Building the Youth's Future. So they'll be working with our youth that are on probation about 1 to 2 hours a week for about 6 months to 12 months time, kind of working with the kids to do strength-based and pro-social support, as well as working on decision-making skills as part of our reclaim plan. So it'll go through at least through mid-next year. We're anticipating that this will be a very useful tool for our probation officers, so we're anticipating being able to continue it through next year as long as we get the necessary reclaim funding.
Thank you, Sarah. Are there questions from the board on this item? Okay, seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item approved. Next item. Thanks, Sarah.
Next item, BC 2021-506, Department of Public Safety and Justice Services, submitting an amendment to a contract with Cleveland Rape Crisis Center for juvenile diversion services for at-risk minority youth for the Positive Youth Development Prevents Delinquency Program in connection with the fiscal year 2021 Title II Formula Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Grant Program for the period October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021, to expand the scope of services to include an additional 100 program participants effective September 13th, 2021, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $16,642.12.
Good morning, Mary Beth Vaughn from Public Safety, and this is a grant-funded contract, and we had another provider whose contract ended June 30th who left some money on the table, and rather than returning it to the state, we're asking to reallocate it to Cleveland Rape Crisis so they can serve more kids.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2021-507, Sheriff's Department, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 7117, which will result in an award recommendation to Securus Technologies LLC in the amount not to exceed $280,000 for the purchase of phone calling cards and remote video visitations to incentivize inmates to receive the COVID-19 vaccination, and recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Hi, Bob Corey, Public Safety Chief. I apologize that you got the B team here. Rhonda Gibson is out this week, and the sheriff was unavailable to attend. And the reason that I'm here is because I was heavily involved in this program approval because of the budgetary impact. So we stalled out on getting inmates to do voluntary vaccinations, and the determination to do everything we could to get them vaccinated was made even prior to the Delta variant surge. And as such, we looked to other models around the state, around the country, even the CARES dollars impact guidance, and determined that it would be best to offer them an incentive to do it. The $50 in this case is just one option, the $50 for the phone card, representing the $280,000 we're requesting, is an option for them to select among three. They could either pick the inmate phone cards, which is up here, a bag of selected commissary goodies, or 10 remote video visits at a cost of $50. They could pick one of the three and not all three. The amount was made a determination because we've seen others do $100, others do less, and the determination to go with 50 and not, let's say, $100 was because inside the jail, the value of the $50 commissary or phones is going to be more relatively high because they can't just spend money on whatever. And, you know, pause for any questions.
Thank you, Bob. Are there questions from the board on this item? Councilwoman Baker, please.
So if I'm understanding, this is not in addition to what we've already approved, this is just another option.
That's correct. That's correct. If unused, then the appropriation would remain, right? So, you know, because we don't know exactly who's going to request it, but they can only pick one of the three, and it's not a mix or match. They can either pick the phone cards, the securest video visits that have a $5 cost per one, or the commissary grab bag.
Well, didn't we already approve an incentive program that was worth $50 for each inmate? That was for the goodie bag, as you?
Right.
Right.
And so we did relative amounts for each of these, knowing that we didn't know which one was going to be more valuable. So the amounts, the total amounts reflect trying to prorate what we think. You might want phone card, you might want video card,
Right.
you might want the grab bags. So the 300 grab bags, for example, should come in today. To the extent that they're unused, they can just be simply put into the inventory of our commissary stuff for regular purchase.
I see. So what was the amount that we approved for the bags alone? Was that an equal to $280,000?
I don't know that amount, but
I mean,
perhaps. I don't recall. Yeah. So we estimated that cost, though. I have the estimate calculated cost. No, I just have the total estimated cost, sorry.
I guess my question would be whether they picked a phone card, a video card, or a bag. It's still the same money. And I just
Same
wonder.
valuation.
Right, so why would we be asking for more if they pick a video card instead of a bag? Because the value is the same. And you can just put back, I guess, what's not used in the bags if you have excess bags.
I think that the valuation, the total valuation was based upon the jail administrators and the AWs thinking that one might be more valuable than the other, so they ordered more. Plus, the commissary items versus the $5 phone cards versus the phone cards aren't a one-to-one in terms of their cost. So those numbers are going to be different.
Well, so Bob, we need separate contracts because we have different vendors that provide the phone cards versus the commissary bags. So the one that was approved before was for the vendor of the commissary bags in a certain amount. And so this would be a contract to provide up to whatever phone cards, but we need separate contracts because they're different vendors that provide those services in the jail.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question. Thank you. That's correct.
Um, Okay, that's it for now, if my colleagues have any questions.
Sure, any additional questions?
So, at $50 apiece, if my quick math is right, it looks like we could serve like 5,600 inmates just with the phone calling cards.
I did
Do you
not.
have any idea that it could be that many?
No, that's the problem. These are estimates such that we don't know if the $50 incentive is going to do the job. We don't know if for sure, if the Securus videos might be more popular, or the Honey Crisps and the grab bag might be popular. And rather than, given the fact that none of this would be unwasted, such that if it's unused, there's no, everything could be reused or refunded. And even Securus is at this point, the $5 video visits, is even debating internally whether they want to provide this free as a way of promoting themselves and helping out the jail on an important mission. So the costs are estimates because we don't know what an inmate or the inmates will do over the period of months. And we don't know, for example, during our voluntary program, how many inmates may take vaccinations even without the incentive. Further, the jail population at the top end, at the low end of the low-level felonies and misdemeanors, they come in and out so much that they may not even have the opportunity to get the vaccine before they're leaving. So it's really estimates.
Do we have a targeted end date for this program?
We may be back for an extension, but it was targeted to end the end of the year. I mean, but that reflects the fact that we started the process a while ago with doing the analysis, talking to the vendors, negotiating the amounts. And so it looks to me like we might need an extension with the vendors, but we believe that this will be sufficient and we won't be back for an additional appropriation.
So,
The total amount.
just two comments. One is that I think the 280,000 is way more money than you're going to need, but it probably doesn't do any harm because whatever is unspent will just go back. The second comment is that I don't have a problem with this program, but I think by far the best way to reduce the spread of COVID-19 in the jail would be to go back to what we did when the pandemic just started, which was to do everything possible to get everybody who really didn't need to be there out of the jail and reduce the jail population and create better social distancing. From what I hear, the jail population is up to 1,700 and rising, and I think that represents some kind of a breakdown in the working together of the various people that need to work together to move people in and out more quickly.
Okay. Any additional comments on this item? Mr. Boyle?
I was just gonna comment, I agree with Councilman Miller on those aspects. I mean, I think there is a systemic justice component that needs to be factored into this, but all that being said, I do think it's appropriate to, Bob, it's a comment more than, I mean, the flexibility that you guys are proposing in innovative fashion to make these, to get the inmates to at least recognize that there is a positive aspect to these vaccinations, absolutely a good idea. And I give you guys credit for doing that. It takes some forethought. I thank you and the sheriff for that. And the other thing, and again, I know it's a moving target because the inmates, the number may remain stationary, but the human beings that are behind those numbers don't. And so John Smith, who's an inmate today, may be released on bond tomorrow, and I recognize that. I think Councilman Miller's comments are, of course, absolutely appropriate. But I do give you guys credit for implementing what I would label our innovative and flexible attempts to at least get this moving in a positive direction. I thank you for that.
And Bob, I just have a quick comment. I know you're doing, looks like purchase orders. I mean, the way we're doing them now in the future, they're only going to be good for a couple of months into the new year. So it seems like you get a lot of money tied up. So just keep an eye on that. And we can address certain circumstances at that time, but you're tying up a lot of your cash. So anyways, with that being said, any final questions? Yes.
I'm just curious on the question about testing. In the question it asks, at the time of arrival, are those coming in tested? And the answer was that they're isolated for 7 days after their arrival. So with the 1,700 plus inmates, do you have the room to isolate someone for 7 days when they arrive, not knowing what their status is?
No, we currently do. Right now there are, that's why I keep making my phone not go to sleep. We currently have 275 inmates in the 7-day holding area that come in for that that
so
isolation.
they're all together.
They're in various pods that are many more than one pod.
I see.
Even on more than one floor, but those pods then would be isolation pods or quarantine pods. Quarantine pods would be for those that have been determined to be COVID positive, of which currently there's 40 COVID positive. They're in a different quarantine pod. So yes, we do have an amount, but Councilman Miller's right. With the jail population and staffing ratio, it's critical in the jail. We have our 1:30 meetings every Monday. I'll be at that today too, where all the stakeholders are looking at everything we can do to reduce the jail population. But I have to say that it's a different population than it was qualitatively in March, because there was a lot of low-hanging fruit in those early months when the program started, the jail reduction program started. The ratio of low-level misdemeanors and felony 5s and felony 4s was significantly higher than it is today. And as an example, there's 150 to 175 people in the jail that are currently charged with either murder, aggravated murder, or some form of homicide, just 150. So their ability to either to get a bond or is low to impossible, because they have been in there for weeks. And then with the cessation of trials for many, many months until they started again, the backlog of those serious cases increased. And so now that we're doing trials and doing everything we can to have more trials, we're seeing a leveling off at those numbers. And now our goal is to continue to push them down by getting their trial availability increased. But yes, currently we have enough room, back to your original question, for isolation.
And if I may,
Sure, please.
of those that are isolated for 7 days until the 7th day that they're tested, is that mixture of those coming into the jails mixed? We don't really know whether they have it or not, and they could be.
If they're symptomatic, they're going to go into quarantine.
Okay,
So if they're
that.
asymptomatic or non-symptomatic, they're going to stay in that 7-day holding.
So you check for that.
And so clinically, they determine that they're not COVID positive.
Okay.
But they do not leave isolation on the 7th day until they're tested on the way out.
Okay.
The fact that we have COVID positives generally comes from the general population area, not the intake, oddly enough. And that could be because right? We don't have vaccination mandates currently, so staff could be bringing it in, mental health nurses could be bringing it in. So we see that the vast majority of our positives are in general population, not in that initial intake for whatever reason.
Okay, all right, good to know.
Sure.
Just a comment that last week I was called for jury duty, and I was required to call every evening at 4:30, which I dutifully did. And each time I called, they said that there's no jury trials. We don't need you for tomorrow. You know, so I'm not sure how much progress we're making on getting the trials going.
The vast majority of the reasons for you not being called for the trial is that the case resolved by way of agreement. A very small percentage of the cases set for trial actually go to trial. It's the fact that the trial is there that forces people to become realistic about their expectations for a result. And then there's plea deals that happen as a result. I could provide numbers from Common Pleas Court on the number of hearings that they've had, trials that they've had since they started, and then the percentages of case resolutions. If you think that would be helpful, I'd be happy to send that to you directly. Yeah.
Just from my quick poll, it seems like 3 of our board members were called for jury duty last week, and I think I was the only one that made court, so interesting. So, okay, thank you. With no further questions, I'll make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Moving on to exemptions, item BC 2021-508, Department of Public Works, recommending to amend board approval number BC 2020-684, dated December 21st, 2020, which amended various board approvals on various dates, which authorized an alternative procurement process, resulting in award recommendations to factory authorized dealers in the total amount not to exceed $1,800,000 for vehicle and equipment repairs, parts, and services for the period March 24th, 2016 through December 31st, 2021, to extend the time period to March 31st, 2022, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $300,000.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, Department of Public Works. This item, we're just looking to amend our board approval for our factory authorized program. Public Works has had this in place numerous years. We're just looking to add additional $300,000 of permissible funds. That's not encumbered funds. This is just allowable permissible funds. All of those factory authorized purchases and repairs do come back to the board. As on today's agenda, we actually have 3 of those factory authorized on the PO list today, as an example. We're just adding an additional $300,000 of permissible funds and extending it through the first quarter of next year.
Thank you, Tom. Are there questions from the board on this item? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second, please? Seconded by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Item
Thank you.
approved. Moving on to consent agenda.
Moving on to consent agenda items BC 2021-509 through 510.
Okay, board members, feel free if you have any questions on any of these items. There's not too many today. Councilwoman Baker, please.
I did have a couple questions on the consent agenda. One being the ask of 829 to 93, and I understand by the answers that it wasn't requested until a couple weeks before, and it's not enough time. But the people that were, I mean, these conventions are planned either annually or certainly well in advance. Is there a way that we can perhaps be a little more proactive in getting this request to us before they go and before they complete?
You're talking about 509, correct? Or,
Yes,
yeah.
the conference in, is it Texas?
I don't disagree with that. Laura, I don't know if you can add anything on that. I mean, we approve them pretty quick.
Mhm.
So unfortunately, we were asked to go at a late date and not.
Sounds like it's a one, yeah, not a usual, it's an unusual.
No, for the most part, we are pretty efficient getting these things through, but yeah, good.
And it, like I said, it's not anybody, not any issue. For us about the outside agency thing, that was part of the process, but we'll be able to do that moving forward. And we have, all of our staff that I've had to see through the paperwork that they have to submit to our travel coordinator who puts that stuff on base and the timelines for that.
Thank you, that's,
Yeah, this would not be related to any procurement type issues because it goes through a different routing queue,
Sure.
so, just so you know, yeah. Any additional questions?
I was just curious on another.
Yeah, please.
The 3099 for the
Yeah.
portable restrooms, why are we involved in that? What is it that, what's our
Well,
contribution?
Tom can talk to you about it, but it's for our Browns game. We, our Huntington Park Garage, we own and operate, and,
So it's a parking garage?
it's, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, if we don't do it, it's gonna get awful messy in that parking
I
garage.
didn't see where it said anything about a parking garage.
Yeah, this, Tom Pavich Public Works, so every year we get the portable restrooms for 3 locations. It's Huntington Park Garage, Summit Surface Lot, and I believe Courthouse Square Lot.
I think, yeah.
As Mike said, if we don't have those there, there'll be an influx of, it could be a health hazard, I'll just
Right.
leave it at that.
So it's for the
we
garage.
offer that option, we do it every year, we bid it out, and we get
Okay,
these in place
just
for all the
wondered.
home games. Yep.
Right, why we were involved
Yep.
in offering that. I didn't
We're-
see
we're-
garage
It's in the
there.
best interest of county property to keep
Sure.
those there, so.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Thanks, I
welcome.
didn't know the answer to that. Thank you.
Sure. Good question. At this time then, unless I hear it further, I'll make a motion to approve today's consent agenda items as noted. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilwoman Baker, seconded by Councilwoman Baker. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Today's consent agenda item is approved. Moving on to other business.
No other business
Do we have any public comment?
and no public comment.
Oh, yes, sir, please.
I see on item number 2, and I don't know whether the extension, it doesn't require a vote. Is that Jill's, is that witness victims contract? Does anyone know? Can I talk to you afterwards? I've been dealing with this in a previous existence, and I mean, it's such a great program. I'm glad to see that we're still moving forward. I'll talk to you off record.
You sure?
Thanks.
Okay, great. Therefore then, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilman Miller. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.